this morning. As explained, we've got a wonderful panel here of designers and artists who've all been responsible for creating one of these incredible rooms in this lovely initiative at Talisman. And we're here this morning to talk about pushing the boundaries or even breaking the boundaries in design and how that can enable fresh new thinking and new ideas. And so maybe the best way is Ken. Ken is the founder of Talisman, I'm sure you all know.
I didn't know that. Morning, thanks all of you for coming over. We did an event like this 10 years ago when we first opened it. So it was just a recreation, a celebration to see how things have moved on. But we also approached, I would say, some more avant-garde designers and artists, and we gave them carte blanche. And we've worked for a month to get this together, and I think they've done a fantastic job. So,
what was your original idea behind the whole thing? I did it 10 years ago, but also now. I know that it was carte blanche, but also what designers would do with money no object or no constraints.
No constraints particularly. I don't think money is necessarily always the object that we're doing, but you can see that there's a very diverse mix of furniture and stock and art in this place, and quite often it's difficult for the public to actually understand what I'm doing. I don't really understand what I'm doing, I just go shopping. So it was great fun to see their fix on what they've done with it.
Okay, so perhaps we should talk a little bit about some of the rooms that we've got here as well. And of course, right at the far end, I hope you've all had a chance to have a look. And right at the far end, we've got the wonderful Midnight Feast, which Audrey, you've been responsible for. Could you tell us a little bit more about that? I know that you said that the colour scheme was a very strong starting point for you.
So when we were approached by Talisman to take on this opportunity to create a room set using their amazing inventory, we were like, yeah, of course, we'd love to do it. We love everything in the shop. And actually, it was almost like you had to take out more things because there was like 5 different tables or whatever. We decided to do the dining room. We chose that space at the back. It was quite a bit substantial space to fill. And when we do dining rooms for clients, we tend to make them quite dramatic. I mean, people nowadays a lot of people eat in the kitchen or they have like a kind of open plan set up, but if they do have a formal dining room, it's usually when they entertain at night. I mean, even like for lunches, Sunday lunches, they probably do in that more kind of informal space. So it was a chance for us to kind of go to town, make it, sexy, dark, lots of colour. And we had this kind of idea in our head of this kind of Italianate feast with, lots of like kind of fruit and vegetables and pulled the colours from that. So then we came down, we saw the table, we found a few things, and then we said, do you have a dinner set by any chance? And Ken said, oh yeah, I do have a dinner set. We never show it, it's not very Talisman, and out came this amazing kind of orange and blue and really kind of quite traditional English dinner set. So that's kind of where we took all the colours from. And we just, we had fun. I wanted to put a fireplace in there. I think again, a dining room without a fireplace, it's a bit of a shame, even if that's a modern one, because we wanted to kind of have the modern against the traditional crockery. But I think, you want to kind of evoke that kind of warmth of an evening and like a winter's night, and that's kind of where our inspiration came from.
Wonderful. And of course, next to that, Maurizio, you have done this incredibly photogenic, particularly bathroom with Drummonds. Again, I'm sure you've all seen it. The focal point is very different, but again, Italian-inspired, isn't it?
Yes, we inspired by Drummond. I want to get some Drummond in the room. When Drummond contacted me first to do a bathroom for them, Talisman, I knew I wanted to do something which was dramatic and was showing the product, but also add all the beautiful furniture and accessories from Talisman. So it needed to be something for people to talk about. And so the floor was the first thing I designed, and then the pink bath was one of the second things to come, because it was a contrast of color and design.
Wonderful. And it all worked around there?
Yes, and then
Yeah.
all the rest came. It was
Can
easy
I-
to shop. at
Can I
Talisman.
also say when he came up with the floor design, which is zigzag,
Yeah.
I said, I'm not painting that
It
for
was not
anyone. And he said, yes you are.
Brilliant.
It was a bit of
And it
like,
was well
Very
worth
strange
it.
to know that.
Crazy. But beautiful.
sometimes you need to fight with the design. Convince.
He had a fight on his hands, I'll tell you.
Not everybody has the idea.
So
they
much
have
for
in
no
their head.
constraints. Yeah.
Yes. Well, there are budgets.
Yeah.
Well, I love the way that it reflects, especially off the base of the chairs and the
That's
buttons.
truly
It's
stunning.
really
Absolutely stunning. And he put a lot of time into it. He was here 4 or 5 days.
Mm.
Detail, detail, detail. Fantastic.
And Philip, of course, you've done something quite different as well. You presumably, as an artist, as the godson of Andy Warhol, no less, you are perhaps more used to working without constraints.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about your gallery?
So for me it was really exciting because I normally exist very much in my own centric sort of world without really maybe necessarily mixing with more period things, even though my world is very much it's very much a pop world, which is in some ways inspired by the 60s pop movement and sort of my I guess my conversation with that and like trying to move that sort of concept forward. But it's really nice to put pieces that I've done in context with maybe, you know, really amazing like sofas or cabinets from the 60s. I feel it's really nice to see that and yeah, it was quite refreshing for me to have that sort of mix going on. But yeah, in terms of my work in general is very much about this holistic sort of vision between the different ideas of fashion or design or art, but hence why I really like making chairs and vases or because I mean there's lots of examples in it, obviously in art history or fashion or whatever, this crossover, but it's something that I'm particularly, you know, interested in.
Mm. And what was your starting point? Because we heard, you know, for Maurizio, it was the floor, the dinner set, or the fireplace.
I think the starting point is probably, it's something I've done quite a lot, it's just this repeated sort of painted walls, because it just creates immediately a uniformity, and especially because my work is quite intense in terms of the quite bold and quite obvious ideas, so sometimes it's quite nice to give it just a universal, you know, context, like a clean, fun context, basically. So I think that by doing the fried egg wall, it was just an immediate way of like taking some form of authorship on the space, and then by integrating then the you know, Ken's archive into the room, just sort of meant that there was a conversation going on, but it wasn't too overly swung either way.
Wonderful. Flowers, really, and coming at it from a completely different viewpoint once again. And you've done this incredible courtyard space, really. Could you tell us a bit more about that?
So Ken originally came to me with the idea of doing a courtyard because it used to be used more of a courtyard to display.
It was a courtyard.
It was a courtyard, and also because my trade and my background is actually originally flowers, so I've grown into interior design from starting off doing incredible flowers for incredible people and incredible homes, and always being inspired by that. So over the years, I've sort of added a little bit. You know, it'd be the flowers on the vase, and it might be a stall, or you know, such a layering to now, you know, working on full interior projects. So when I was invited to do this, I was like, yes, because it's your perfect client. It's like shopping in the most beautiful store in London. I mean, it really is. The most beautiful store in London. There's no budget to worry about, and literally being able to create, I guess, your own, you know, a room that you would like to be in as well. So I think for me it started off with the yellow chairs and also the walls. So playing again with colour and texture on the walls, using different colour paints, and then adding detailing, which is all the brass details of different patterns around the room. And then it sort of, I didn't want to put too many plants in at first because it was very obvious. I just couldn't help myself. Because I think it lends itself very well to the style and the period of the furniture that we have in the store here, and also that I've used in the room. So giving it that warm sort of casual chic, and again just having fun with the spun furniture. I mean, I'm a little bit obsessed with metals and gold,
So, you know, spraying them gold, it's like bringing that little bit of glamour to the outside world.
And guess who sprayed them gold?
Yeah.
Me.
Spring mine gold,
I think you get yourself into.
So yes, absolute joy to be involved and a real privilege to be asked.
It's been good fun. Great fun.
And Martyn, so again, you're coming at this from a completely different angle once again, aren't you? Because
Yes.
really your background is in blogging, writing,
Yes.
and as a design influencer, I guess. So could you tell us a little bit more about your space, which is the bar right here?
I mean, yes, it's been influenced by essentially what I'm writing about, but I think it kind of represents my relationship with Talisman. I think the first time I ever walked into the showroom, I saw the doors, and that was where I wanted it to be centred around. As I had to incorporate the doors into the design because they're the item that I love the most. Obviously, being an avid fan of drinking as well, it kind of makes sense for it to be a bar.
I was wondering.
Yeah. But I mean, all the pieces in there are pieces that I've seen and kind of grown to love in Talisman. And I think social media-wise, I've noticed that there's been quite a big trend on home bars. So it made sense that people are wanting to make the homes a bit more than just a house. It's a place to socialise. And I thought this is an area that I'd actually love to kind of sit down in and socialise with friends. So it's kind of the combination of all of them together that has kind of influenced the design.
Wonderful. This idea of carte blanche, I think, is really interesting, and actually not something that a lot of you would get in your everyday kind of commissions. So has it enabled you to do things that you'd wanted to do that your clients would never do for clients? I know that particularly.
Well, yeah, because I had a client come and she looked at the purchase and said, "Oh my God, it's so bold. Why have you got that orange there? I could see if it was all one colour." And I was like, "Well, that's the point. We're allowed to do what we want."
Yes.
I might do that in my own house. Who knows? But when you work with clients, and especially when they're, I always say to people, like say a dining room or a hallway, be dramatic, because no one's living in that space, they're passing through. But if it's your everyday space, you might not want to look at a bright orange stripe down the wall. And I think what Maurizio said is true. You can have a very strong design vision, but at the end of the day, it's that person's home, and they've got to love it. And I'm very lucky. I get a lot of repeat commissions, or people who have got multiple homes, and I think you have to kind of respect, at the end of the day, it's their home, and they might buy a horrible throw and you absolutely hate it, but you just have to take a big deep breath, step back and say, we can work with that,
Maybe because they have to live with them, but maybe we could be braver.
Yes. Because of what social media or press tell them to do. They tend to do exactly the same way we do.
It's pretty boring, yeah.
People used to be far more adventurous.
Definitely look at 60s.
So that's
real
changed over
leaps of
time.
faith. They had no idea actually what they were buying into, but they trusted us, and we've done a lot of homes for people. And I always say to people, when I finish a job, it's now your home. You do what you like with it. And some of the homes I've gone back 20 years, they haven't moved a thing.
Brilliant.
But their kids have grown up, and they've enjoyed living there, and it was experimental then, and it still feels good. When I've walked out, I thought, I'd do this again. So I think people at the moment they're more nervous about how they do things.
And why is that, do you think?
I think they're just bombarded with so many images and so many opportunities. Obviously everything's being reproduced at a huge rate.
Yeah.
People used to have an authority on what they bought. You I'm sure have it within the art world. People don't want to know what their subject is they're buying into. In our world now, I find that's changing. That people aren't that interested in where it came from, or why it was made, or who designed it. They just want to fill space. And I hope that changes again. It's up to us.
I think also because people's houses, especially London centric, it's like, a lot of the time it's their investment, and they don't, so they're investing like curtains, say they're going to spend £5,000 on curtains. They don't want to go for something that's really bold and fun, because they're like, we've got to pay I might not like it in 2 years' time, I've got to change it, or I'm going to sell the house. Who wants to buy the house with these bright pink curtains? They want to have grey satin. I mean, if I see another bit of grey satin.
It used to be beige.
I know, well, it's gone from beige to
That's
like
it,
a nice shade of grey. And I know we live in a kind of grey, you know, northern European light, and grey does look good, but you need to like lift it with
I
something.
think it's our
And
job as a
personality.
designer
Yeah.
to teach them and push them to
Yes.
the boundary.
Yes.
Because a lot of clients come to me because it's an investment. They always think of, I need to sell it in 2 years, 3 years time, and they want to be safe. So it's our job to push them and to push the color, like I did for the bathroom. You know, the bathroom didn't have a client, you know, just to represent dramas and Talisman, so you can be eccentric and do what you want. It's important to do this for the client, and I try to push all my clients every time with the project. It's not always easy and take longer than to a passing copy. The problem in the industry now, there is a lot of design in which they pass and copy what they've done. So it's a repetition of the same project over and over. And that's what I think the problem. You know, it's easy and cost effective, it's much easier for them. I think that's the problem is in this industry now.
And yet then you see like the hotel chains that are doing really well, like say your Kit Kemps, which not necessarily my taste, but those you know, they're spaces that people actually do like going to. I mean, they wouldn't have that success. And it's colour and pattern, but it's just it's making them have that kind of confidence to do it in their own homes.
Yes.
Well, I was actually, I mean, you mentioned that possibly it was the media and social media that have kind of that have made people more conservative, and I wonder whether there's an argument for the other side of that, in that you know there's more about a sense of experience, or things should be more Instagrammable. Martyn, I mean, you might have a view on this one particularly.
I think social media is obviously great for inspiration, but I think also it's bad in the sense that there's now too much people are looking at. And I think that, I mean, obviously when I'm putting things on Instagram, the biggest responses I always get is from those crazy eccentric interiors. But I mean, people always will kind of then turn back and say, but how do I create that for my home? Like, there's too much to it. Like, people shy away from it. So I think it is confusing for people now that there is all of the kind of inspiration out there.
So they might want to experience it in a hotel or a temporary place, but
yes, yeah.
But it's too.
I was in Chicago a couple of weeks ago at Soho House, and from the point of view of the hotel, incredible, brilliant. You know, they're absolutely full. Everyone's enjoying themselves. The furniture isn't real. So all those people that are staying there, that's their experience of what they think a place should look like. And a couple of years down the line, they think, why don't I feel happy with this stuff? It just hasn't got any soul.
And also
They put it together really cleverly, but it doesn't have an end.
Because it became corporate.
It's formulaic.
Yeah, it's
exactly.
It became corporate. It's not corporate.
Yeah, it's become so corporate.
When Shoreditch House opened, it was unique.
Yeah.
Because it was the first one. Then, and I remember the Soho House. And I went to Miami to that one, but then it became a corporate activity for them. So paste and copy again with the same principle.
Yeah.
Then open a shop online which they can sell the furniture. So for them it became a business.
Correct.
So you have people stepping away from buy piece of vintage or antique furniture or beautiful painting to make their room look good. And that's what is missing.
So do you, the question, do you think people are willing to start investing in the beautiful piece of furniture or the painting? Exactly. So slowly, do you think that Ken wants it to turn around because it's just wonderful? And do you think that's going to happen quickly, or is it still going to be, and it sounds frustrating?
The problem in the industry in the UK, especially in London, there is so many designers and everybody wants to make money quickly, and it's easy for them to sell something which is not, they don't spend time to come and see what they have a Talisman. It takes time to come here with the client and show every single piece and decide what to put. It's very much easier to go online and shop online and do a mood board from
and get an instant,
online.
But it's having those residential properties, isn't it, with these wonderful wow pieces which will last a lifetime. So surely that's what must be quite frustrating.
And it's our job to take them around. It's our job to take them here to Talisman or to take in another gallery. But it takes time. That's a problem.
Also, I think if you buy like these wonderful pieces and then you move house, you kind of and they might say they started in the dining room and then you move house and they might end up in the living room or the hallway, and you just see them again with fresh eyes. And it's like even people with art, we quite often go and rehang art and then you just see the whole room changes again. So I think if you buy really beautiful pieces that you love, even if they're all from different, eras, they don't have to be all like kind of mid-century. It could be a beautiful Georgian chest which can look great with a mid-century chair. it's just having the kind of just being brave, I guess, to do it.
Absolutely.
And and changing the wall colour, that will make
Well,
it feel
it's all about creating a
different.
home.
Yeah.
That's
And memories of
a
all
real
those
home.
different pieces,
Yeah.
don't you think?
Yeah.
I think it's important also to get people back into shops, to have an experience of seeing and touching and experiencing what they're going to invest their money in. I had a client who wanted to buy this side table online. I kept saying, don't do it. It was a really good price point. She's like, I really love it. I said, don't do it. Because you can also tell by, price levels that you're buying at what you're going to get back on some levels. So a lot of things are reproduction of all the original pieces, that you might find in a store such as this. And of course the table came, and the top of it was great because it was marble, and the rest of it was gold, but it was painted gold, and she didn't want them. So I think it's also getting people back into the stores, but also instilling confidence in them to also see things as an investment and what you see value in. Like someone might spend £500 on a pair of shoes. To one person that's nothing, but to another person it's like, but it's the same, it's what you see the value in. How much do you love it? How much are you going to look at it for 1 year, 5 years, 10 years?
Sure.
And the thing with the pieces here, for example, they are forever. They've been around, most of them, since the 50s and 60s. And we're still not bored of them.
Including me.
We're constantly reinventing them, and we're taking them, and even the interiors, you were saying, these extravagant interiors, those big pictures, you might see one thing in there which could be the starting point for the next project for us as a designer or for the client. So all these wonderful things that you see on social media can also just act as inspiration as well. It doesn't have to be, I want that thing. But that picture your client loved might inspire the designer to just do their version of
And
the chair that they have.
I've been working in London interiors for 13 years, making sculptures, but it's so funny how people place something from somewhere else in their house and you think, but who are you? What do you want? And I think identity is about inconvenience as well. So, we all have really inconvenient parts of ourselves that you have to work with. So I love what you said about, well, maybe it's in the kitchen, next time it's in the hallway. And you come here, you love something, and then you just take it with you. I think that loss of identity, I see it so much in the last few years. It's like Torp again. I don't know if I'm in Singapore or if I'm in Chicago style house.
That's the thing that's so
I travel all around the world and I step off and I'm like, it just looks like the other place I've just been to 12 hours ago from a flight. And that's why I love places like this, because it's like you don't have to excuse yourself for what you like, you just like it. And just to have the boldness.
Scared, but I think people are scared. They want to play it safe, and that I think is generally a problem with society's consciousness. It's staying in a box.
Is it
not
fear or
expanding.
just lack of imagination?
I think it's
Creativity, I
both.
think that's a really people don't necessarily have confidence in their creativity, and the idea that what I think Talisman does so well is to mix different things together quite playfully. So you've got 3 different centuries of pieces in here from 5 different continents, and they're all placed together in the most fabulous way. So it's never, this is Manhattan loft chic, or this is da-da-da. It's a creative mix, and you can have fun with it. And I think people potentially need to be encouraged to have a lot more fun, and that it's not some kind of small narrow thing of what good taste is as well.
But it's like even the magazines, like when I started, like Elle Decor, I loved it. There was all sorts of different houses. For the last 4 years, I don't know if anyone else agrees with me, but every house, there's at least one white house or 2 all white houses. It's like, come on, there's lots of different people out there with different houses that you could be inspired by, not like someone in, how many white houses have we seen from Denmark? It's like, there's other houses out there. So, I feel that's one of the things that's a bit frustrating too, rather than kind of finding I guess World of Interiors is a bit more esoteric, but they take a kind of much more imaginative line, I guess.
But the problem is breaking the boundary. And when you try to break the boundary, it's becoming difficult. Because you're basically going against everyone else. A lot of people come out from school now, and that's what they've been teaching. They've been teaching you something fast and quick online. And that's the main problem. I have a lot of people coming to my studio, and I can see the new generation is coming out. They want to be faster, they want to be wifi, they want to be on top quickly. I've been in the industry for over 20 years, starting from fashion, and I did different jobs before my company. It takes time to get where you are. But the problem they teach you now, you can be on top just based in copy, and a lot of people do that. That's the problem. There's a lot of designers now there. Then they get to the point, but then they close the company in 2 years and start again something else. That's the problem, and that's what is ruining the. And it's only in the UK, London especially, because there is so many designers. If you go to America, it's not the same. In America, it's more control, and interior design is very much divided from what the problem is in the UK.
Very much so.
What can you do then, instead of saying, well, everybody's a bit boring and formulaic, what do you do about that? What do you, as individuals, as leaders of your professions?
Well, I think it's quite hard because there's a lot less print and there's a lot less outlets for you to get your work out into. For instance, if you have a very nice house, which I have, but if I wanted to put it into Architectural Digest, I've got to get the clients to sit on the sofa and talk about this house. Architectural Digest won't do any houses without personalities.
Which is hard now because a lot of
I
clients
think that,
don't
I mean, they don't
featured.
want to be featured. A lot of it, again, it's very kind of under the radar wealth. People don't want to be shouting out about like their art collections or whatever. So I think that's where someone like yourself comes in, that kind of there's an opportunity, maybe it's an online thing that you could have. Do you remember that magazine Nest that used to be a few years ago? It was so quirky. I mean, something like that maybe it's an online thing, so you're not having all the expense of doing print, because I think print...
So do you go online with your amazing designs? Can you and ideas, and are you...
Well, we do Instagram, but I don't actually, I haven't got a blog. I mean, that would be another whole job in itself.
Yes.
But I guess someone like yourself could do that.
I think something like this, we are sitting here, this is an event which is great.
Yeah.
Event like this, when you take in different products and put into the same roof, that's what it is. And there should be more like this in London.
But I love going around those show houses. I mean, not like those show flats all in grey, but when or you see the things in America, they do it called Kips Bay, and they have all these different show flats, and it gives people an outlet, and it's only one room, but you can experience it. You're in a 3D thing of it. Even like photographs never really give you the same thing as this is today, or like we can all sit in that room and imagine having a cocktail. We can sit at your bar. We can be surrounded. I mean, like painted eggs would be scary to a lot of people, but then they can come here and find, like, what, that would be great, like in a kitchen or dining room or something, if they wanted to take it not to the art level but as a decorative thing.
But that's because we didn't have boundary. Each one of us didn't have boundaries, so we could create what we wanted. So you can now vision every one of the space.
But it's about giving your clients that confidence, like you say, to break the boundary. And so you're saying, how do you do that? So it's just doing little by little rather than going all out crazy. And hopefully that will start drip feeding through Insta and all the modern social media as well as print.
Absolutely.
It just takes time for these things to get through.
There is definitely the space in the media for a new look that people aren't already tired of. Something there's a new creative interiors style really. I was actually looking at one of those. The Terence Conran house books from back in the 80s, and he's done various different editions, and I was looking at an old one of those, I think from the 80s, and quite amazed how even though the photography was dated, the rooms themselves were still very much in good taste. They were all, they all looked contemporary, and I was actually quite shocked because 30 years has really that little changed. So perhaps actually we could go back to the original question.
I don't think it has changed that much in that period of time.
No.
I've been obviously in this business a very long time. So I've seen when people used to want to put a Georgian room together, and literally everything was Georgian. They wouldn't go out of the box, and Regency rooms and everything of that nature. When I started Talisman in this country back in the 80s, I just went shopping, and I was so lucky because I did catch the rise of people being much more experimental. I also, talking about grey paint, I introduced Sweden to Europe. So all the Gustavian furniture, I was one of the first ones ever to bring it, particularly in any volume, and we did a wonderful time. We were based in the West Country then, and a friend recently said they were going to wonder, was there a Swedish community here, because every house is Swedish. But of course then people discovered grey paint. So they don't look at real things anymore, just everything's painted up, and so there's no spirit to it. You don't feel anything for it, and you don't know why you're not happy with it. So
finding that soul.
To me, it always has been. And we sell things that Paul Evans is one of our big names here, and in the last 5 years we've started to see the knockoff Paul Evans. I wouldn't give it a house room. It's dreadful.
What does he do, Paul Evans?
Paul Evans was he started as a silver smith. And then during the 50s, late 50s, he started doing wooden furniture. But he's best known for his bronze and his cityscape series. He died in 82. It was 50 or something when he died. But he's been collected for many, many years. And the prices, of course, they've gone to where we don't really want to see prices go if we can help it. And that's made other people start copying. But because they're not thinking like he did, and they don't understand the materials he used, it's a copy. And you can't have the copy without the original. And I would always rather have the original. It's fact, whether it's artwork or sculpture or furniture.
Suggest someone who's coming to it brand new what to do to start.
To get in. An apprenticeship, if you're lucky, it's a very, very difficult industry to break into because it's a very small industry. The reason I got into this industry was no one would give me a job, so I had to start myself. I opened a store and I was very lucky, but literally all the doors were closed. So I don't know how you go into it except just by luck. You start maybe working part-time for somebody, make yourself extremely useful, and always be on time, and they might give you more work.
I can work at the school.
Sorry?
I'm coming more and more to think, because I used to teach at St. Martin's.
Yes.
Do a year of school if you want to do school, but then just work. Just find a company you love and just work. Work really hard.
It's the really hard.
And love, I wouldn't say that for a doctor, but for a designer more and more. Just say, just work.
I think you do need to do what you have to do, like
4 years.
Well, maybe not 4 years.
I'm against the fact that people don't go to school because if you are, for any job you need to know what you're talking about. Interior design is not only making a room with some cushion or something.
No.
There is more behind that, which you need to go to school to learn that. And that is one of the problems in London. A lot of people become designers without going to school and learn. I understand some of here, they become designer, but they already have some experience in the background.
I think it's also because of the recent development of how much school costs. And I think you can always do courses and learn skills.
That's not the sacrifice. I went to school. I put myself to school and worked at night to pay for school.
Yeah, me too.
We all did.
I think depending what level of interior design you're going to do, but we take on like whole bathroom refurbishments, whole house lighting design. So you need to have the training, computer-aided design. You've got to be able to do that. I wouldn't employ anyone. I mean, I can't do it myself. But I wouldn't employ anyone now that can't. They need to be able to do that. They need to know some kind of technical expertise about all the materials, how you put it together, how you set up a bathroom. I mean, just if it goes wrong, a bathroom, that is where you will lose more money than anything. And they need to be able to do that. I think that's something that I would say, do a course, maybe not 4 years, but certainly do a course that gives you a good technical background. And then it's just you have to go and work for someone, because a lot of it is learning in the job, on the ground, in the situations. I've been doing this for 25 years, and I still things go wrong, and I still, oh God, never again will I ever, put silk carpet on a staircase, because
it doesn't work.
I'd actually love to hear from the three of you as well on this question, because having being originally in other fields and kind of breaking into interiors.
So for me, it was a natural progression from working in a creative environment of my own, having my own business, and again working in other people's homes and being inspired by that. So no formal training, but again, as always said, people that I hire now, they have to know what they're doing, because I don't have that technical background. I'm a visual person, so it's about images and pictures and textures. But you have to give, your client also wants to have the confidence in having that structure and organisational skills. So again, yes, do a course, because it's something that we're even now experiencing with projects, that you have to have that technical and structured backup to follow something through. It's all very well, I mean, I can waft around and pick colours and I have vision, and that's what I'm good at, but I couldn't do the job without the team that I have who can do all the other things. So you complement each other as well, like we pull on each other's strengths and weaknesses.
Also things like bathrooms and kitchens, making a mistake with things like plumbing is a very costly one. Once it's all fixed, you can't quickly change it. That's the more architectural.
And there's different levels of interior design as well. You can, be an interior architect, so you work with an architect firm. You can be a designer, you can be an interior stylist. So you've got your different layers and levels of what you can provide for your client or for yourself, and how you execute that. So you can give them as much or as little as they want to. Some people, they just want the finishing touches, so you go in as an interior stylist at the end perhaps and help with accessories, or again it's the whole vision, or again it's the architecture, redesigning structural things. So there's different levels as well. So I think you can take that into consideration when...
Does your daughter ever move the furniture around in your house?
Yeah.
Well, that's a good indication.
Yeah.
Most people that were interior designers that end up doing it, they moved their bedroom around. Their parents were like, why is the bed in a different place?
She has quite, but she knows what she wants straight away, whereas I take longer to come to what I want and make decisions about things. But then I'm the kind of person who I don't mind spending the money, because I'm going to have it for years and years and years. And so I do a more thoughtful route. She's very much like, no, this is how it is, you know what I mean? And so and she's always good.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And one more question. So I listen to you all. What's the best or worst thing about being in your field?
Good question.
Should we start with Martyn?
Oh no, don't. I've got to think about this.
Who would like to go first?
Well, I'd say the best thing is when, obviously when the pictures become 3D. So everything that's drawn, even if you put it into 3D program, when it's in the house or wherever and you wander around and you see it all come, that's the best part. The worst part, you're in America, the shipping container arrives, half the stuff's broken, the client's moving in a week, I don't know. It's more the production side. Because you can do as much as possible, but there's always going to be something that might go a bit wrong.
Well, I think the best thing is to have a client satisfaction when you deliver the project. When they're happy in their house and they can go home, that's the satisfaction. The worst one is to have a client which they think they know what they want, but they don't know. They keep coming with Pinterest picture, which they don't make any sense, because Pinterest is not the other problem anymore.
Yeah.
Everybody, when I first started, no one was coming with picture. Now they come with a pile of picture, or they send you a link to their Pinterest. They're all different, they don't make any sense whatsoever. They want everything in a small apartment. We just finished a small apartment in London with my daughter, who was 25. Pinterest was so many pictures for different stuff. I could do a mansion with it. But you need to, like you said in the beginning, you need to incorporate as much as possible there. And that's when it was
I would say basically having as an artist, having the freedom to basically evolve one's own creative language is an amazing privilege to have that space and time to be able to do that, because obviously a lot of people could do it but either don't, or I think it's an amazing opportunity and I think that's definitely the best thing in terms of being able to sort of tell stories and build those realities and stuff and blur the distinction of reality and fiction and whatever stuff like that. And the negative side, I think art can also be very because there's so many contributors and there's so much of it, there can always be quite a harsh interior dialogue with it, because you're always analysing and criticism. So there can be a sort of flip side of like harsh analysis, but then definitely it's an amazing privilege to be able to do it as a job. Yeah, and it's fun. So.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
Hayley.
I think I enjoy understanding the client's personality and then being able to interpret that, and the client going, yes. So, to know that you've got into their home life in a way, or in their personality, into their family, and then actually like saying, yes, I love that, which means you can then really go forward together as more of a team, rather than I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And the worst thing is when they change their mind.
I can imagine.
Too many times, too late in the day.
Does that happen a lot?
It's like, no, go with your instinct, stick with your gut, and just, don't lose focus.
I thought about it now. I would say, there are obviously lots of great things about it, but obviously social media has given me a job, it's given me freedom to go around and obviously work alongside and write about fantastic designers. And so that's obviously what I get out of it, is really experiencing fantastic design. I'd say probably the worst thing actually is, as a following grows, there is a pressure to make sure that you're delivering content and you're finding the next thing, or you're talking about different things. So the pressure does build to make sure that you're always there, and obviously different countries, different times, so it's quite a lot to it.